Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity and creator of Bogash Life and Balance. And today we're going to talk about a way to eat and drink to protect your arteries, which is something we all want because arteries feed certain organs, like all of them. So if you want a healthy heart, brain, liver, kidneys, toes, we need to make sure that we keep our arteries healthy. And things like high blood pressure are a sign that your arteries are not healthy. Ultimately, too much stress in the arteries leads to plaquing of the arteries, called atherosclerosis. If they're smaller arteries, it's called arterial sclerosis. Things like needing to have your heart vessels replumbed comes from poor blood vessel health. Migraines, dementia, Alzheimer's, peripheral artery disease, so having cramping in your legs that can lead to things like amputation. All scary stuff we don't want to happen. And if we want to maintain your health and be able to do everything you want to do, you have to eat for your arteries. And this particular study looked at a very large study, almost 56,000 people over the course of 21 years to find out how much their diet played a role in their need for hospitalization for peripheral artery disease or even just having peripheral artery disease. And just a quick note, when we talk about arteries being damaged, you look at either coronary artery disease or peripheral arterial disease, or PAD. They're both caused by the same thing. It's just a matter of where they're at and how they are treated. So in particular, this study looked at flavonoids. And flavonoids are a large compound of protective, or a large class of protective compounds found in certain foods. Quite a few foods actually, but some of them are notoriously high in flavonoids. Think your berries, especially the darker berries. Citrus, but the citrus peel, so if you're going to eat that orange, make sure you're eating the peel along with it. Spices. Spices are phenomenal way to change your health. Just load them all up because there's very little calories and lots of potential benefits in spices. As far as drinking goes, looking at things like coffee and tea are very high in this class of protective compounds. Cocoa, but it's actually cacao, so the bean itself that we make cocoa and then chocolate, dark chocolate, not milk. So the cacao bean is very high and very potent in this and has shown again and again and again to be able to protect your blood vessels. So when they looked at people who had a higher intake of these flavonoids, they found that they were 32% less likely to need hospitalizations for peripheral artery disease, for PAD. They were 26% less likely to have plaquing in their arteries, just as from simple, like, adding in these foods to your life. How hard is it to add blueberries or spices or tea? Like, we drink a tremendous amount of tea. And I've gone over videos of how we make tea, coffee too. I play barista at lunch at my office. We've got an espresso machine, and we make very high flavonoid, high protective compound coffee for the office. Also keeps them awake in the afternoon. They also had a 28% lower risk of having an aneurysm, which there's nowhere we have an aneurysm that is a good thing. If it's in the thoracic artery or the lumbar artery, lumbar descending AAA aortic, ascending artery of aortic down here, descending artery. If you have a rupture in those, like, even if you're on the hospital, even if you're on the operating table, you've only got a 50% chance of survival. So if you have an aneurysm that ruptures, it gets ugly almost anywhere that it is. Overall, there was a 47% lower risk of having any peripheral artery disease. That means into the brain, that means into the legs, that means into the, pick any organ other than the heart. And they had lower rates of that. And I'm sure if we looked at the coronary artery That's the same thing was happening. So remember, think about feeding your arteries. It's a different way to look at the foods. And is this McDonald's Happy Meal or value meal feeding my arteries, or is it destroying them? Are these berries with them that I'm washing down with tea, are those protecting my arteries? Well, yes. So starting to change your thought process about eating for your arteries can help you protect them in the long run, because every organ in your body needs blood flow. As always, I will post a link to this study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.